Hey, how's it going today? It's Frankie and I'm here with Terror Tuesdays. And this movie is called The Whole Truth. Let me tell you something, that this is possibly the best horror mystery movie I've ever seen. The storyline was leaving me hooked. Everything about the mystery part was just, I found it brilliant. The acting, for such a poor acted movie, the movie itself was brilliant. It's just such a shame the acting was so bad. It's like the acting was robotic. Everything else was fantastic. I'm going to have to try my best, because to explain this movie is going to take a while, but I'm going to have to probably explain the quickest, or I summarize it the best I can. So it's about these siblings, Pim and Pot, that go to their grandparents' house after they find that their mum has like a car accident. And they start to go to stay at their grandparents, and there's something weird about them, right? And bear in mind, please watch this movie. This movie is incredible, right? Watch it first, and you can watch my video afterwards. They got grandparents, and there's something even I find the grandparents off, especially the grandmother, where she was acting all a bit crazy and a bit suspicious and stuff like that. And then you gradually find there's like a hole in the wall. The siblings find like this film only gets going after 22 minutes, so they find a hole in the wall, right? Pim and Pop, right? They find it, and they sort of see this girl coming out from like a cupboard, and they see a drunk man on the sofa, and then the girl is vomiting blood, and you see like this young girl with like, I see like I thought it was two babies, but I'm sure it's like that was the cot from, that was like the cot that you bring was a one baby. So I think I probably like got a bit confused while I was seeing that scene. But you see this young girl and the baby, you said there's vomiting up blood are coming out, and they sort of question their grandparents, and the grandparents act like they didn't see it, and then the camera just shows there's no hole in the wall, but then there is, but then their kids can see it. The grandparents supposedly can't, especially the granddad. He can't see it, and so we think he doesn't see it. And then the grandmother keeps making Pot drink milk. That's important later in the movie. You haven't seen it already. That is important. So he keeps drinking the milk, and he also starts getting sick as well. You would think it's because of the demon, or not demon but spirit, because he sees like the ghost spirit next to Pim, and he sort of gets freaked out by it. So anytime you see like the ghosts go in that sort of like in their time, basically in their time, I think I just gave that bit away then. And he starts vomiting blood. You see a bit of blood in his shirt. Pim wants to take him to like the hospital, and they haven't gone yet because they keep seeing the hole in the wall. Bear that in mind, the hole only wants those family members to see it. Because in one scene, this bully who is like Pot's friend called Fame, who's like, he's blackmailing like Pim over, I'm not going to get into that. That's not important. He then tries to look through, because when he sees it, there's no hole in the wall, right, in his eyes. But then when Pot points to where the hole is, as soon as like Fame puts his like eye through it, he gets like, something attacks him. So, which kind of makes me think that they only want the family members to see it. The spirit does not want anybody else interfering in it. Well, understandable, because this Fame character isn't really part of this sort of scenario anyway. It's part of the movie. He was only in it from like the start, and then you don't see him after that. And then this is where it starts to get a bit more intense, because you see like the grandma looking. She's always looking to one side. She's always looking to like the side, and you think, oh, how does she know what the time is? There's no clock there. That's an interesting one. This movie can be trippy. This movie confused me a bit, but I'll get into that. And then she also has dementia, so she goes a bit like crazy, but there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for that. I'll get into that as well soon. And then when Mai, who is like the kid's mum, she then somebody tells her, oh, the kids are with their grandparents, and she was just like, wait, grandparents? Now I thought, right, there's many theories, because when I watch movies like this, I always have a theory. I thought, isn't that the movie The Visit? Because this is like an Asian version of The Visit. Like, this is like, probably, it's actually a better version of that movie The Visit actually, but it's not found footage or anything. I bet by it is in English. You might see, with how dumb I can be sometimes, there's options at the bottom of the movie. I think you could just go on them. I didn't even think about doing that. So I put in English, and the movie's in English, thankfully. And yeah, they sort of, and then the mum sort of panics and she goes to the house, and this is where you find out the whole truth. Hence why it's called The Whole Truth. Like, you know, especially when Pim put up the start, which I like the start part as well, when she says, "Oh, this is a fair point." Actually, I'll get onto the that introduction bit in a minute, because he does say something similar towards the end anyway. And this is where the truth comes out. This is all trippy. So I'm going to explain this the best I can, because a lot happens in this sort of like scene right here. A lot of dialogue gets exchanged, everything. And this is where you find out why, you know, Wan, who's like the grandmother, is constantly force feeding, you know, pot milk. And you wonder if she goes a bit crazy. You wonder why she's looking at a certain side. Now, you see, my theory, my main one, was that it's got to be their house. Like when they look through the hole in the wall, I was thinking, are the kids really alive in this, or what's going on? What's happening here? And I sort of found, I saw my theory was like a parallel universe. I was close. The hole in the wall and the room that they're showing is actually their place that they're in now, and the girl that they see is their sister that passed away. This is superb storyline dialogue, but I can't fathom enough. And this is where it starts to get a bit more deeper. The dad, because you don't even know about their dad. This is the bad thing. Their dad is actually an alcoholic, and he's an artist. And the kid who's called Pinyu, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but that's the name. So she tells her dad, "Oh, I want to just play a game together, whatever it is," and she recommends hide and seek. She hides in, like, you know, the staircase where the door is. I don't know what you call that, not the cellar. I have no idea what you call that part of the door. I don't know the name of it. A lot of houses have these. And then she sort of leaves it unlocked. And then you see, like, who was it that came downstairs to lock it? I've actually forgotten who it was now. Someone came out to lock it. And then the dad is on the sofa. That's why gradually in that one of the scenes where they look through the hole, there was a dad there. That there's a man lying down down on the sofa. That's actually their dad called Crit. This is deep. Isn't that their dad called Crit? And then they eventually find out that how because Pinyu was in there for a while, she was drinking rat poison, thinking it was syrup. And hence why, and this is also the reason why Pot was getting sick. I'll get into that in a minute. She then, like, that's when, you know, the family eventually find out that she died, and yeah, and the dad gets shot basically. No, Crit gets shot. You think it's from you know, the granddad basically. I'll get into that soon. That's another interesting part too. Remember, this movie is called The Whole Truth, and there's a lot of bits and pieces there that you gradually start to realize and uncover. And then you eventually find out the grandmother, she's evil, right? The way she was, I knew there was something evil. I thought she was possessed. How aggressive and crazy she was. I knew there was something crazy about her. I didn't think she was like this though. She kept giving, you know, she kept giving Pinyu milk, because I think she was trying to poison, you know, she was poisoning her because of how, because she said Pinyu like a freak, just because I don't know what condition she had. That's evil. And she kept saying, and that's when you gradually start to find out that that's why she was force feeding Pot milk, and she wasn't giving Pim any milk because the milk had rat poison in it. That's what I think it is anyway. I mean, kind of gathered that, so, but I didn't gather it. I just gathered it as that storyline went on, as that piece of diagram, that she obviously probably she obviously gave him the rat poison because that's what she did with Pinyu. Yeah, and because she said he's a cripple and stuff like that. That's crazy. That's a low thing. That's a mental. That's a wild thing to do. And that's why, that's why Wan. I don't know. I forgot the granddad's name, but that's why Wan is looking towards that direction of where the clock used to be at, because there was actually a clock there, and that's where Pinyu died at. That's what she keeps looking at, and she can't actually hear the noises and see the hole. She just wanted to see the kids to think there was nothing going on, and they didn't want them to know the truth, the whole truth. I will keep saying it like that because that's what the movie's called. Wow. And as it went deeper into the story, and this is another interesting bit too, the granddad wanted to find out who won over his daughter May, right? Or May, I was going to say May. He wanted to find out, so he eventually followed somebody, and he killed the guy that put his daughter in hospital. Or so you think he did that. He did murder someone. He did murder the dude, and he said, "Here, you love your alcohol so much. Why do you drink more of it?" That's an interesting piece of dialogue too. It's very tough for me to explain this type of movie, man. And then eventually finds out that he actually killed the wrong person. It was actually his friend that was driving the car, because he used to work in at the military. He used to work as a military officer, wherever he worked as. And a guy called Captain Paul, if it is right, said, "Oh, that this guy was murdered last night. Chayu or something like that. Chayu was murdered, and it seems like he was telling the truth. It was actually his friend driving the car." And it actually shows a scene, because it was caught on the dash cam. It actually shows people come out the cars, and it was actually his friend driving. It gets deep, and then it goes back towards the end of the movie. They sort of show the whole bit when especially when the camera cuts out the whole scene, and now we start to really see the whole entire everything that happened. It wasn't the granddad that shot Crit, this sibling's dad. It was actually May that did it. I thought the guy did it, but she grabbed the gun from her dad's holster or something like that, and shot him in the head. Wow. Even like May's kids, even Pim and Pop was asking their mum, was telling their mum, what if that's not the whole truth? What if there's more to it? And I was like, there's gotta be, because I still want to know I want to see, like, the scene I did think that the dad, the granddad did shoot the dude, right? But then it didn't exactly show, that bit happening until like they showed who actually done it. And this is karma, especially towards when the grandmother sort of goes downstairs because she hears all those noises, and she said it's been happening for 15 years. She goes downstairs, and she sees the cupboard sort of move, and then she opens up the latch, and so obviously to let her granddaughter free, and then Pinyu just sort of vomits blood at her. This is her karma, and she sort of acts all just a bit sporadic, and that's when the granddad comes down, and yeah, he sees that he sees that she looks all possessed, and then she eventually morphs into like Crit. And that's when, because the granddad kept shooting at her, but then when this person fell to the floor, it shows, the person being back to one again, and that's when the granddad sort of gets a bit like traumatized, but then he shoots himself, and the blood splat is exactly the same as it was when May shot, Crit. This is deep. This movie's deep as hell. That explains literally just everything that happens in this movie. Wow. I had a feeling that had something to do with their house. I thought it was like some sort of like, I knew it was a spirit or whatnot. I just didn't exactly know it was like a half sister. Not half sister. I didn't know it was their full sister we're talking about. I thought they just had to rescue somebody. I thought the grandparents I had a feeling the grandparents were responsible, because why would they cover it up? I thought the granddad was involved too. I think he was partying because he knew. I think he probably knew about it and just kept it quiet. That's why they went to Pyramid Park, because they told them they know the truth and they would have escaped from that place. Like, it's mad. So the theory is quite obvious. It's just I didn't know it was their sister. I just thought it was like, I couldn't explain what it was. I just couldn't. I did think it. I actually thought, right, with this movie, I was like, I thought this movie was going to be about this showing like the future or what's going to happen, but I don't know, that wouldn't make any sense because there was a child involved, so it would have to be for the past or whatever it was, and the spirit was asking for help. This movie is, wow. Why did it have to be bad acted? I don't know, because this movie is just brilliant. The story, I don't think many people like this because it's a bit too like cliche, or they might think, oh, for like a pointless story. It's called The Whole Truth for a reason, and here's the whole truth. And the introduction bit, I think it was Pim narrating it. She was like, a truth is like a hole in the wall. It's there, but you choose to ignore it, and you choose to not notice it. And also, she also said something here. She said, the truth is that blood splat on the wall. It's going to remain there for a while. I think it's something that she said anyway. That's a brilliant analogy. Brilliant analogy right there. Absolutely fantastic analogy. That's sort of analogy I would use, or probably, actually no, I should use. Wow. This movie's so good. I even got my words stumbled. Yeah, that's I'm gonna use that from now on. That's perfectly describes the truth. It's like it's there, but you choose to not see it. Brilliant. What an analogy. I'm glad you said something like that at the end as well, because it's brilliant. It also shows her in the bed as well, and she hears humming, excuse me, from like Pinyu, because Pinyu used to hum to when she was a baby. To be honest, I don't know how she remembers that because she was a baby, but and then it shows like Pinyu just next to her, cradling, trying to look out for her, basically. Brilliant. What a brilliant movie. I'm going to start using that. The truth is like a hole in the wall. I'm going to start using that analogy. That's a fantastic analogy. I'm surprised I haven't used it. Fantastic analogy. Rating? I was going to give this an 8, but you know what? I'm going to give this a 9. I'm going to allow it because I like it. I've been generous on this one. A 9 is a good rating. The only improvements, the acting felt a bit too robotic and unconvincing for a brilliant movie like this. I get maybe it's how the characters are, but I'm just saying, if the acting was better, I would have given this a perfect 10. Brilliant. My type of horror mystery movie right here, because my reaction was just like, what? That explains just literally everything in this movie, the whole truth. Fantastic. Just brilliant. I highly recommend watching this. Recommend this to a lot of your friends and family, or whoever you're going to recommend it to, because brilliant. So yeah, that's it for this video. 9 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification below. So see you in my next video.